Welcome to the Osmo Early Bird Podcast. I'm your old pal Emac coming to you on a Saturday morning with one Adam, ship my money share, as we get you ready to go out and do some errands, water the lawn, feed the kids, milk the cows, anything on the honey-do list. Sounds like a plan, don't you think, Adam?
Yeah, should be a nice fun day to talk about basketball.
So bring us along with you as you head off away from the house. Download the podcast. You can get us, of course, if you got us. A lot of you do listen on YouTube, but we are out there on iTunes, and we will be adding some other channels as well. And we're on SoundCloud, additionally, if you guys follow along there. We've got 10 total games. There are 2 3 o'clock games. We're not going to talk about those. We will have projections at awesemo.com. We will have the cheat sheets, the ownership projections, and of course we'll be in Slack. And I know I'll be taking some flack because it's Fred Van Not So Elite is on the slate. I'm doing the Fred Van Elite Fan Club contest. You can find it on my Twitter timeline. I have yet to win. I have yet to cash, Adam. This will be contest 13 or 14. The rule is I have to play Fred Van Elite on my team.
Do you think there's a correlation between having the roster that trash can guard and you not cashing?
It's something along those lines, but it contaminates the rest of the team because I end up with a bunch of the little snowflakes on the DraftKings app.
Yeah.
It's amusing at this point, but it's in for a pound or in for a penny, in for a pound. It's $1. I set up a 20-man, and everybody else gets to enjoy it and make fun of me. We'll continue this until I win one with him in my lineup. But we've got New York, Toronto, Milwaukee, and the Clippers. They will be your 3 and your 3:30 game. The sites look like they're doing a 2-game slate for that. We'll have some stuff for that, but Adam and I are going to cover that. We're going to go with the 8 main games starting at 7 o'clock going all the way through 10 o'clock. We have 5 teams that are on a back-to-back. We have Washington, Philadelphia, Brooklyn, Sacramento, and Miami. We, of course, are recording this on Friday night, so we don't have the results of all of the games yet, but if there are any injuries, you will have to, of course, adjust accordingly. We do have a few injuries of note that we'll call out here. We have Steph Curry and Draymond Green are both out for the Golden State Warriors as they take on the Brooklyn Nets there in the Oracle. We've got Quinn Cook should be starting for Curry, and Jordan Bell started the last game for Draymond. Did not really do a whole lot. Don't forget they've got Kevin Looney in the wings and a host of other gangly big guys that may end up getting some minutes. Looking quickly at just the high-level look, we know that Alfred Payton is still dealing with his ankle issue. He's been close to coming back, so we'll have to keep an eye on that for the Pelicans. Nikolai Mirotic also dealing with an ankle injury of his own. He may be a game-time decision. Goran Dragic is out. He will not be back until next week at the earliest. That is with a knee injury, so we know that means Tyler Johnson should do well as long as he doesn't have a migraine. Dwyane Wade may or may not be back. He is attending he just had his first child with his wife, Gabrielle Union. So that's exciting. Good luck to them. She's like my age, Adam.
Yeah, she's old.
You know who she is, right? Was she on TV shows that you don't even remember, like Sister, and
she was on Sister? I didn't know that.
She played like an ancillary character for a season or something.
Oh, okay. I know who she is. I probably mostly know who she is because of Dwyane Wade, though, and maybe a random movie or two.
Yes, random movies. I know she was in She's All That. I'm well aware of that. 10 Things I Hate About You. Yes, my inner 12-year-old girl watched some of those movies.
It's one of my favorite chick flicks. Don't laugh at that movie.
Oh, they're not bad, and they're okay with commercials. So I remember they're always on TNT and TBS. So many years watch those. And then 10 Things I Hate About You. I think she's in one of the horror movies or something, maybe one of the goofy horror movies. I think. And then
like one of the scary movies.
Yeah, like maybe one of those or one of their knockoffs. And then oh shoot, what's the other one? Bring It On. Is that the one?
Yeah, I think that's where I probably remember her from.
Oh God, this is gonna be great. Somebody,
I have a sister.
You haven't seen any of the classics yet. You've seen I just mentioned that are tween movies. There you
go. I haven't seen any of the classics, but give me Bring It On and 10 Things I Hate About You, and I'm good to go.
There you go. Yeah, but I think she's in her mid-40s, so she's kind of my age, but a beautiful woman. So there we go. Shout out to Dwyane Wade there. But back to today's Saturday's potential injuries. Wesley Matthews dinged up with a bruised hip. Eric Gordon has been out the last couple games. We've gotten good news and have had him ruled out early. He is still questionable at this point. Lonzo Ball is dealing with an ankle sprain. Who else do we have? Devin Harris. Yeah, hasn't played since the first game of the year. And then Bogdanovich, the Sacramento Bogdanovich. Did he make his first appearance yet?
Yeah, he played in their last game. He was ruled out for rest on Friday night.
All right. So he's got 18 and a half minutes in their last game. They have said he will not play back-to-backs as they work him into things. So That would make sense. So he may play on since the Kings are playing Friday night, there's a decent chance he will play Saturday since he's sitting out Friday. I think that hits the main ones. We, of course, will go position by position here as we do your first look foundational podcast here, because we are the Early Bird podcast with Awesemo. Remember, if you use the promo code EarlyBird, you can get 1 free week of all Awesemo premium content. That includes ownership projections. That includes points projections for all the major sports, premium articles for all the major sports, and most importantly, Slack. Oh, yeah, and the Fantasy Cruncher add-on. You get all of that for 1 week. Time it just right, and you can hit the 2 NFL weekends if you do it just right. Now, you'll have to make your lineups the night before for one of them. So, hey, if you sign up after hearing this, you can hook yourself up for Sunday and carry it all the way through next Saturday. Adam, we've got point guards here. We've got some of our favorite spendy guys, John Wall. We've got Ben Simmons. They're coming off back-to-backs. Chris Paul, generally disappointing all of us. Drew Holiday. We'll see what happens when Alfred Payton comes back. De'Aaron Fox is on a back-to-back. Devin Booker had a nice night on Thursday, leading somehow the Phoenix Suns had Boston on the ropes briefly. That game went to overtime, but he led the way with 38 points, 9 assists in that overtime game, 60 DraftKings points. Interesting group up here at the top. What do you like with your first view here?
Yeah, so I mean, Booker obviously coming off the really good game against Boston gets a much friendlier matchup here against the Pelicans, a team that plays fast, a team that has struggled defensively. Drew Holiday is a quality defender, but the guys around him are just not very good, and as a whole, it's made them very poor on the defensive end. So I really like the spot for Booker here. I'll be going right back to him after not having as much as I probably should have in that game against Boston, but I really like him. Chris Paul, 7,600 is finally getting to the price point where I think that we can start considering him again. He just loses so much value when he plays 75% of his minutes with James Harden, but the price tag now finally starting to account for that, so I think he's perfectly fine. Drew Holiday, waiting on news for Alfred Payton, like you mentioned. If Payton's out again, then we should see Holiday start at point guard, and while the usage isn't an issue, but it doesn't really spike, the assist percentage increases when Alfred Payton's out. So you get a higher floor and a higher ceiling, along with 38 to 40 minutes of Drew Holiday in a nice spot here against Phoenix. John Wall against Miami on the road. The one thing to point out would be that he's playing 38 to 40 minutes a night as this Wizards team tries anything they can to not get killed in every basketball game they play. But it is a back-to-back. I assume he'll be coming off a monster, a ton of minutes in Friday night's game, although they are down by almost 20 right now, so maybe not. But just pointing out that it is a back-to-back, and he probably will play a bunch of minutes on Friday night, so maybe a little bit of a risky spot.
Plus, there's a chance he could be going out to South Beach, so you never know. That's the rumors around D.C. are that he has been hanging out at a couple of the popular places. He rebuked a few people on, I'm assuming it's Instagram, Adam, but yeah. Anyway. Speaking of fun, thank you, DraftKings, for making sure that Luka Doncic is once again only point guard eligible. We've got he is taking on Dennis Schroder. We didn't mention that at the top, but Russell Westbrook is going to be out a few more games with his sprained ankle. What do you think about Schroder here in this matchup? We've got kind of a double late night hammer looking at the OKC Dallas game and the Lakers Sacramento game being the last two games of the night. Those should promise to have some fireworks. Either of these guys, if you were picking between these guys, would you go with Doncic or would you go with Schroder?
I think I would go with Dennis. I think I'd go with Dennis Schroder just because they should play similar minutes here. I would expect both guys to play in the 34 to 36 minute range. But with Westbrook out, you just get close to a 30% usage rate from Schroder. You get an assist percentage up over 30%. So I think that I would prefer him by a little bit. He's also facing a worse defense in Dallas than Doncic is against Oklahoma City. That's not to say I don't like Doncic. I just would give the edge to Schroder.
All right, and then a couple bargain discount dandies here. We've got Brent Forbes, who actually ended up getting the start the other night for San Antonio. He's 4,200. Quinn Cook is 4,200, who will be starting for Curry. And then we have Tyler Johnson, who's at 4,300. He should be seeing decent minutes with Dragic out. Wade could be back, but that won't totally kill his value. And then Isaiah Cannon. There's some nice little choices there. Any of those guys intrigue you?
Tyler Johnson, kind of. If Wade comes back, it makes him a little bit less appealing because I still would expect that you get the same starting lineup that has, Richardson and Winslow handling the ball a lot. So you would basically just have Tyler Johnson playing bench minutes and mostly alongside Dwyane Wade. If Wade's out, then the minutes are more solid for Johnson. The usage is more solid. But I really would like to just find a little bit more money and get up to Jordan Clarkson against the Bulls. He's 5,100 on DraftKings. Played 33 minutes last game. You have George Hill out for another 2 weeks. You have Sam Decker out as well. So you should see another low to mid 30s from Jordan Clarkson, who coming into Saturday's game will have a 27.6% usage rate this season. The only issue that he's run into has been getting minutes, and now they're there for him. So I really, really, really like Clarkson.
All right, our fun little joke. We had the Holiday brothers squaring off. Of course, Justin Holiday playing for Chicago, Drew Holiday playing for New Orleans, and this is kind of funny. Well, it's funny to me, but Drew is the younger brother. He made it to the NBA 2 years before Justin did.
Yeah, he's also a hell of a lot better than Justin.
Well, you're besmirching my alma mater, Justin Holiday with the University of Washington. Come on, Adam.
Yeah.
Be nice. I thought that was a funny one. Both had solid games, but that's neither here nor there. But sort of at that price point, we've seen Justin Holiday just getting a ton of minutes. He's going in that game against Jordan Clarkson. So that one's kind of interesting as well if you're needing some salary savers. As you go up the pricing list, up near the top, we have James Harden at 9,600. We have DeMar DeRozan at 9,400. Holy hell, DeRozan has definitely earned this price tag. He has just been absolutely phenomenal. He's averaging 26.5 points, 6.5 rebounds, 6.5 assists per game. That's pretty darn good. If you're picking between those guys, do you want the teammate that has Carmelo Anthony ruining everything, or do you want Coach Popovich's new project, DeRozan?
Yeah, I think that I would lean towards Harden, but I mean, it's really close. I do think
it's closer than you would have said 2 weeks ago, right?
Yeah. One thing to point out with DeRozan, though, is that he comes into this game with an assist percentage that is sitting at 32.5%. I have him with an expected assist percentage of 23.9%. So he's, I think, due for regression in that department. I don't expect him to pile up assists at the rate that he has been so far this season. And his current price tag does reflect how efficient he's been in the assist department so far. So I think that's something that's worth keeping in mind. He does still obviously have a monster usage rate, but Harden's price tag's just fallen enough to where I would have more interest in him. When he plays 75% of his minutes alongside Chris Paul, you end up projecting him for about a 34% usage rate, which is like 4 percentage points higher than DeMar DeRozan. You project him for close to a 30% assist percentage, which is higher than the expected assist percentage that I have for DeRozan. So it ends up being Harden for me, but DeRozan obviously still really good.
All right. Last guy, let's focus on for a sec. Let's talk about Klay Thompson. He's seen an $800 boost here. He has 6,800. Of course, he will be without Steph Curry. That should theoretically give him a few other shooting opportunities. I don't know. 6,800 feels a little bit tough, but no Draymond. Now there's not a ton of shots involved with Draymond, but now no Steph. He kind of becomes the second option behind Durant, right?
Yeah, I'm actually pulling up right now to see how his numbers look alongside Durant without Curry or Draymond on the floor going back to last season. I would expect that you see at the very least an increase in usage, maybe not in efficiency, but yeah, so 24.5%. He's played 353 minutes without Curry or Draymond on the floor and with Durant on the floor. 24.5% usage rate, 52.9% true shooting percentage, 0.78 DraftKings points per minute. So he actually has seen a decrease in efficiency, which I think makes sense. You know, when you don't have teams having to pay attention to Curry and you don't have Draymond feeding Klay some of the passes that he gets wide open looks on. So I think that Durant is clearly the guy that you actually want to go to here. And the price tag for Klay elevating actually does deter me, even though Curry's out.
All right, last little bit here for comparison, because we have guys that are similarly priced here on DraftKings. Beal, Richardson, Buddy Hield, they're all within $700 of him on the DraftKings salary standpoint. They're all on back-to-backs. Does that bring them a little closer in line with what you're projecting from Klay, just first blush as you're looking at it?
I still think I would like them more. I mean, it's just such a good spot for like Buddy Hield against the Lakers, who should play again, 34, 35, 36 minutes. Zach LaVine obviously is a little bit more expensive, but he's basically that entire offense in a really good spot against Cleveland. And then you have, Richardson, who gets more ball handling responsibilities without Goran Dragic. He plays 36 to 38 minutes a night, and he's in a great matchup against the Wizards. So it's going to be really hard for me to actually get to Klay.
Let's move here to small forward. We have some intriguing choices up at the top. You have LeBron James at 10,900. He only has one triple-double so far this season. Good matchup for him against Sacramento. Kevin Durant, as we mentioned, should see a ton of opportunity here against Brooklyn. You have Paul George, who should see, again, a ton of opportunity without Russell Westbrook. He's coming off a 56 fantasy point game. And then Ben Simmons on a back-to-back, but somewhat intriguing matchup here against Memphis. You never know exactly what you're going to get with Memphis, plus they are playing much faster than they have in the past. Amongst these small forwards, how would you rank them? I'm assuming Durant would be first.
Yeah, Durant, obviously number one without Steph on the floor. The price tag still hasn't really jumped either. He's $10,700 on DraftKings, which actually is $200 less than LeBron is. And Durant's played 599 minutes without Draymond or Steph Curry on the floor. I'm not accounting for Klay Thompson just because you're not going to see Durant defer to Klay Thompson all that often, so I'm not too concerned about it. 36.5% usage rate, 28.7% assist percentage, 13.3% rebounding percentage, 1.5 DraftKings points per minute. You should see Durant play 36 to 38 minutes as long as the game is competitive. So I think he just stands out clearly as one of the top plays on the entire slate, regardless of position.
All right, a couple other injuries here. Rudy Gay is going to be out on Saturday, as is Cedi Osman. Osman has back spasms, and Rudy Gay is probably going to miss at least one more game after this. Anything open up with those guys out that makes you consider them, and then compare those opportunities with Jabari Parker, who finally had his 40 burger. It only took him 10 games.
Yeah, it was nice to see him finally have a good game, I guess. The analysis for him will be, basically the same as it has been. He's too cheap for his ceiling. He's probably going to be inconsistent. He loses usage playing alongside Zach LaVine, but it is a good matchup. As far as Rudy Gay being out, we saw Davis Bertans actually come through with a pretty nice game his last time out. I would expect that he gets the start again for Gay. I still don't think he's a particularly productive player. I don't want to factor that one game in too much, but he's probably the main beneficiary.
All right, he's 3,900. He got 31 DraftKings points on the strength of 4 for 7 from three-point range. That helped. He had 1 assist, 1 block, a 1 steal, 4 boards, 19 points. So solid game, but all of a sudden you take away that block and that steal, which by no means are guaranteed, since on the season he has 2 of each going into that game. All of a sudden you're looking at about 18 fantasy points, not quite as appealing. So your mileage may vary. Anybody else here? Karis LeVert be a good guy to get us on out of this position.
Yeah, not really. I don't really love LeVert. I think that going to the Nets right now is just pretty difficult because Kenny Atkinson's running a 10 or 11 man rotation, and LeVert's the only guy that I even expect to play more than 30 minutes, but even he only plays around 32 when you have plenty of guys playing more than that. I would throw in TJ Warren and Trevor Ariza, though. I really like the matchup against the Pelicans. We saw Warren rejoin the starting lineup on Thursday night. He's still inexpensive at $5,100 on DraftKings. Ariza is $5,200, playing 34 to 36 minutes a night. Really good matchup for both of them against the Pelicans.
All right, they're going to lead us into the power forward spot. That we have Anthony Davis. He is the most expensive player. Looks like on most of the sites he is at 11.8 on DraftKings. He is averaging a robust 24.5 points, 12 rebounds, just shy of 5 assists, just over 3 blocks for 56 DK points this season. Wow, pretty impressive. Oh, wait, there's more. He's coming off a 71 fantasy point game. He's going against Phoenix. Could help him out if Mirotic isn't there, if Elf is still somewhat limited. They will lean on him even more if possible. Looking at Davis for 11.8 or Durant for 10.7, what's your inkling at this moment?
Durant for 10.7. I mean, they just end up being pretty similar per minute guys. You know, if Mirotic is out, I would expect more usage for Davis, which is big. But where Davis is $1,100 more on DraftKings, I'm not saying that I don't like Davis. It's just that you're getting, you know, probably about 1.5 DraftKings points per minute from Durant in a perfectly reasonable, perfectly fine matchup against Brooklyn, compared to probably like 1.6 per minute from Davis. I think that Durant just ends up being the better, the better point per dollar projection.
Okay, here's fun with numbers. You know, I love these. 10 games. LaMarcus Aldridge has how many over 40 fantasy points?
4.
3. Yikes. How many below 30?
1.
His last 2 and 4 total of those 10 are below 30 fantasy points.
Wow, that's interesting.
That is fun with numbers. Now, a couple of them were one's a 24-minute game that they just crushed Phoenix by 30 points. A couple others are in the low 30s. So not overly surprising, but still a little surprising considering he is the main guy there. No Kawhi, no Rudy Gay. Of course, DeMar DeRozan is taking some of the scoring off his shoulders, but no Tony Parker, etc. I would have thought if you had asked me that, I wouldn't have done anywhere near that sort of guess. But he's averaging just shy of a 20-20. He's at 18.5 and 9.5 on the season. The blocks never really there with him. Assists at 3.5. It's just still a little bit surprising that he's not doing more with his opportunity. The other guy I know you're going to like to talk about, Julius Randle. You like him when he plays up-tempo games. He can be infuriating because he prefers to score over 40 fantasy points or below 30 fantasy points, Adam. What do you think we're going to see from him on Saturday?
I think it's pretty dependent on Nikola Mirotic because it's just really hard to get to Randle at a mid-range price tag when Mirotic is healthy, because even though we've seen Alvin Gentry start to play the Anthony Davis, Julius Randle, Nikola Mirotic lineup more frequently, you still kind of can only project Randle for like 28 minutes. And if they don't run that lineup, he only ends up in about the 24-minute range. So if Mirotic is out, it gives him a clear path to more minutes. If Mirotic is in, it really knocks down Randle for me and makes him nothing more than a fringe option.
All right, last one was we get on out here at the bargain. Again, we've got this Saturday show. Adam and I do. We will go game by game in full depth. It'll take us about, hour and 15, hour and a half, but you can catch us around 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern time over there on the YouTube. And then you'll be able to look at that all day. So at your leisure when you come back, you can check that out. That, of course, will be a lot of fun. We've got a nice little crowd of viewers that have followed us over here on the Saturday show. So we will continue to do that free for you, courtesy of Awesemo.com. Just remember to throw us a like or subscribe even to the Awesemo channel, and you can be alerted for any shows that we have. Looking at Golden State here, we've got Jordan Bell at 4,000, McKinney at 4,000, and Looney at 3,700. Can you rank those punt options for our listeners?
You said Jordan, you said Bell, Looney, and who was the third one?
McKinney, Alfonso McKinney.
Yeah, I think I would go Bell, then Looney, then McKinney. Okay. Bell, I think I expect to be the biggest beneficiary from Draymond being out. If you go and look at the rotation against Milwaukee, and it's difficult to gauge a whole lot from it because the game blew out. But actually, Bell, it's a mess. So McKinney didn't get his first run until the start of the second quarter. He played about 7 minutes in the first half, and then he ended up basically getting a lot of his playing time in blowout run. So it was not great for him. Jordan Bell, kind of the same thing. Kevon Looney got the most playing time, but I can't see fouls on the NBA rotation site that I'm looking at, but it seems like Looney might have come in for Bell foul trouble, which if that's the case, those minutes are more than they otherwise would have been. So I don't really love any of them, but I think that I would still go to Bell first out of that group.
All right, so that'll move us on here to the center position. We've got Joel Embiid will be squaring off with Marc Gasol. Embiid is in the 5-figure club here. We've got Hassan Whiteside on a back-to-back, and let's see, that will be, a 3 and 4. We know sometimes his energy level flags, his interest level, and if he's arguing with his coach or not. But you know what? Against San Antonio, he almost had a triple-double in the first half, Adam. Good God. That's just insane. With blocks. I think he had 7 blocks, I want to say.
He had 8 in the first half, finished with 9.
Okay, there we are. Yeah, he had a 20-20 game. 29 points, 20 boards, 9 blocks. He did it all. Only 2 fouls. Some people call that a week's worth of work. Kelly Olynyk calls that a month.
Yeah, and it's another really good spot here for Whiteside. The 3 and 4 in the back-to-back is the only concern, but it's just a great spot against the Washington team that's been one of the worst rebounding teams in the league. Dwight Howard is still playing through an injury, so he's not at full strength, and it's a spot where I think Whiteside should be able to do really, really well. The only concern, again, would be that maybe he plays towards the bottom of his minute range because of the 3 and 4 in the back-to-back, not to mention the fact that the Wizards just cannot keep any game competitive right now. But without factoring that in or taking that into consideration, it is a great spot for Whiteside. And he really stands out to me, amongst the mid-range centers. I think that this center slate is not as deep as the one we saw on Friday. So he really stands out. You have Dwight Howard, on a back-to-back, still at 6,100 on DraftKings, which I think is too cheap of a price tag. Not a great spot for him, especially because we do know he's playing through that butt injury. But it's just a cheap price tag for a guy that's, playing around 34 minutes in competitive games.
All right, we have a nice little grouping here in the 6K range. I'm going to leave DeAndre Ayton off. He's at 7,000. Potential for him to get in foul trouble. He's a rookie. He's going to be dealing with Anthony Davis, Julius Randle. There's a lot of opportunity there for him to pick up some reaching fouls if he's not ready to see other giants moving at him at the speed that those guys can't. But I am intrigued a little bit by Clint Capela going against San Antonio. I think Wendell Carter Jr. going against Cleveland is very, very nice. He has just been racking up the points. He's averaging in his last 7 games just over 40 fantasy points per game. That's pretty awesome. Those would be on my short list. And then JaVale McGee. Let's start with JaVale. You can finish us off with those other 2 or anybody else you like. Has the clock struck midnight on Cinderella Mcgee?
I'm pretty nervous about McGee for a couple of reasons. For one, we saw 2 games ago Kyle Kuzma start to pick minutes back up at center. He played 5 or 6 minutes, and that's concerning because when you had Jonathan Williams or Zubats backing up McGee, you weren't worried about either of them cutting into McGee's minutes just because McGee's the better player to have on the floor. But once they started giving minutes back to Kyle Kuzma, it became a little bit riskier to go to McGee. And then with the addition of Tyson Chandler, we didn't really know how he was going to be used, whether he was just going to, back him up for 13 minutes a night or if he was actually going to have a bigger role. He played 23 minutes in his first game with the Lakers. So I think that it would make sense for the Lakers to be trying to cut McGee back to like 26 minutes a night instead of the 33, 34 that we were seeing. And it appears that they're using Chandler to do that. So I think that suddenly McGee is a little bit overpriced just because of, how many minutes he was playing earlier in the season compared to how many minutes we expect him to play now.
And that's going to lead us probably to Wendell Carter or Clint Capela. Of those two, do you have a preference?
Yeah, absolutely love Wendell Carter. Capela's price tag is really nice too, actually. So I really like both, but I think I would give the edge to Carter just because Cleveland is such a bad team defensively, and Carter really has come into his own in terms of usage. He also, contributes across the board with rebounds and with assists. So I do like them both a lot, but I think I would give the edge by a little bit to Carter.
All right. Again, you can catch us Saturday morning or watch the replay throughout the day over there on YouTube. We will be breaking down these 8 games in excruciating detail, but it will be fun because it is basketball, and basketball is still new and shiny even after the long 6 months of baseball, and the baseball playoffs are done, and we've had football. It still feels like basketball is quite exciting. I'm sure we'll get tired of it, but not anytime soon. Use the promo code EARLYBIRD. You can get yourself a full free week of all Awesemo.com premium content. Go to the Awesemo.com join page, type in the code EARLYBIRD, all one word, and you will be well on your way. You will also get access to premium Slack and the Fantasy Cruncher add-on. That is well worth it in and of itself. You can find Adam at shipmymoney.com. You can find me at emac.com. And, of course, it is Awesemo_COM. That's Awesemo.com. But on Twitter, we don't use the dot, so it's Awesemo_COM. With that, gamers, good luck.